This is Marcus Walden. You're listening to 1 Degree Podcast.
Boom. 2 in a row. Still better than Greg. Still better than Greg. He's mad about his 10 questions. We'll get to you. We'll see how you did. Anyways, welcome in, Marcus. Appreciate you. You and I have known each other for a long time. We go way back. Fresno City days.
Yeah, when you were at City.
Yeah, both of us have had Tommy John, so we have that. Kind of like the Tommy John brotherhood,
right.
Baseball brotherhood, pitcher, minor league grind. So I appreciate you coming on. You got a lot.
We almost
of
got
insight.
20 years in the minor leags between us. We got a while.
Yeah, well, you're almost there.
I got
17, 16?
17 years I just finished.
So this was your 17th year of professional baseball, but you're only how old?
35.
35. So you signed when you were 18.
18 out of Fresno City.
18
2007.
out of Fresno City.
Damn. That's crazy.
A long time.
That's like it's unheard of to even think about like playing football that long.
Yeah.
Baseball is the only sport where you can sign a contract at 17 years old and go play professional, right?
At 17, you got to have your parents sign on.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah.
Soccer, you probably
my
can,
mom
right?
My mom had to sign my scholarship papers.
Yeah.
But other than that.
Yeah, because you both of you guys graduated at 17.
Graduated at 17 and yeah.
When's your birthday?
September 13, 88.
August 8th.
Yeah,
88.
so you guys are both young.
Yeah. Young graduates.
And you only went to Fresno City for 1 year.
1 year, one and done. I wasn't a school person. I was out of there.
None of us
Me
are
neither.
school.
I went to school to play football.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel you.
And then just finish up year 17. What teams have you played for? Affiliates.
So
because you've been in affiliate ball every year of those 17.
Every year I've been in affiliated ball. I've had a couple stints in indie ball, but I signed with the Blue Jays in 07, and I was with them from 2007 to 2014. Claimed off of waivers by the A's in 14. Played with them in 14. Then I went with the Reds in 15. I went to minor league camp and spent only a week in AA. Got released and played indie ball the rest of that year. So I was 15. 2016, I played in Minnesota organization, AA, AAA. 17, I signed on with the Red Sox and was with them that was a bulk of my career also. 17 to 21. Got released in August of 21 and signed with the Cubs. Finished out the rest of that year. I had 9 weeks with them. And that was 21. 22, I signed with the Brewers, and 23 with the Mariners. So
Crazy.
I think 8 orgs.
And
altogether.
and how many? Because there was a stint in there before you signed. I believe maybe it was with, I can't remember what team, but you had a really good year in winter.
Yeah.
So
I had a couple of years in winter ball.
What winter ball teams have you played for?
So I played in 2 different teams. I played with the Tigres de Aragua in Venezuela. And that was from after indie ball in 2015, 15 walking into 16. I had a great year. We ended up winning the championship
Twins.
down there.
That's when you signed with the
Twins. And
Twins,
then I signed
right?
with the Twins that year. And then I went back after that offseason and because I was hurt in August. So I missed August with the Twins in AAA. And then I went back, made 3 starts and signed with the Red Sox, flew out of there, got out of there. And then after that 17 season, I went down to the Dominican and played with the Toros, that was a blast. It's a good spot to be.
What's playing in Venezuela like?
I loved it. The culture is amazing. Man. It was one of the most welcoming things I've been to, where just the people down there, the civilians, they loved us. Obviously, a bunch of white people walking around in the Euro building they knew who we were. They knew that we were ball players, but they were awesome to us. They had a couple days. What was crazy is we had a couple days that they shut down the whole country for voting. It was December 5th or December 6th, and so we had one of the ladies that ran a boutique down there. She came and she took the bus hour and a half, brought us food, there was nothing open. The whole country shut down. But she brought us lunch and dinner. Wouldn't let us pay her. It was like just things that. It was awesome. The people down there were awesome.
That's what everybody says, that going down there, they had a great time. It was so much fun. But then you hear some horror stories about some guys. Like I've heard, guys getting robbed and, who was the...
Any sketchy situations, but the team that we were with, the Tigres...
I think that has a lot to do with it.
100%. But we're ran by the government, that's where it was good and bad. Like people didn't like us because we were ran by the government, but also... we got treated well because we were ran by the government. We were flying in I don't even know the name of the plane, but it was all camoed out Venezuelan military planes.
The ones where you're like facing each other, right? Like you're on the wall.
I'll show you videos after. It's crazy.
What is that like? Because I remember you telling me. You can go ahead and tell a story about like your first time when you were flying and you were like, "Where are we? What are we doing here?"
Yeah, we were going, but like, so it's just like the bombers where the Humvees will fly and drive out of. But I mean, it's their summer down there when we're down there. It's 88, 90 degrees, full humidity. If you pull up that gate, you're sweating your bag off out there. It's crazy. So the thing's down, and we're getting up to we're taking off, and it's still down. All of our luggage is strapped in.
Oh, so the door that the Humvees go out and stuff, that's down when you take off?
At about 2,000, 3,000 feet up is when they close it.
Wow. Otherwise, so you're strapped in and you're
buckled up, and it's shoulder to shoulder, and there's me and you, and the other person's knees are right in front of you, and then there's another row. So we travel with our rosters. We're probably, I'd say, close to 40 people. We bring in like 10 clubbies and 10 coaches. So we're bringing 60, 65 people.
So you're taking an army with luggage.
You. Oh, we're bringing we're bringing everybody. And so, I mean, we were gone for 7 or 8 days. I know we were going on 2 road trips for sure. And I was there for like 6 days before we flew out. I wasn't there long.
They hook you with a parachute?
I wish. Right. That was one of the weird, like, we're taking off, dude. The gate's open. Like, and once we took off, we got about 2,000, 3,000 feet up, and they closed it. AC turned on, and it was smooth sailing after that, honestly.
What was going through your head when you were taking off?
I was very lucky. I had one of my best friends with me, Austin Bibbins Dirks, dude that I played multiple years with, lived with him. He speaks great Spanish. My Spanish is terrible. So I'm asking him what the he's been down there for 7 years at the time. He's played 7 years, different team. This was his 8th year going into it, and it was just making sure, like, what the hell. The hardest part was once I got to the stadium from landing in Caracas and driving the 2 hours in the streets. It was awesome. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I'd go back. I was actually thinking about going back this year with Sandy Leon, the catcher. He's playing this year with them. His first time in like 5 years playing. And I don't think I could leave now.
I don't think people understand American sports. Athletes and fans don't understand how sports are down in those countries.
No, that's
like
their big
Mexico
leagues,
and Dominican, Venezuela. They care so much more. Like, I always kind of talk about, like, East Coast fans care more about sports than 100%. West Coast fans. Now you take East Coast fans, turn them up by like times 10.
Bring the band in.
And it's like a mix of party, soccer, baseball, but at the same time very professional. Like, everything is very professionally done, but everybody's there to have a good time. Like, people work all day. They don't make as much money. Their care is more for the game, having fun, having the experience, because they don't have the outside distractions that we have in America. In America, we're full of distractions, right? Look at this. We can go do this, do that.
And I think that's why East Coast baseball is so much better. They enjoy going outside in those summer months.
Because people care more.
And you get on the West Coast, and it's different. I've been blessed that I was on the East Coast for 13 of my 17 years. And being in the East, where the fans are awesome. It's a lot different than even traveling to the West Coast and playing in San Diego or playing even in Anaheim.
Playing in San Diego sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
he did it for.
It was horrible. I had 16 away games when I was playing. So like, it was the fans down there were really bad, and it was like you couldn't even get up for games because like you have nobody like cheering you on. So, which is crazy.
Playing for the Red Sox was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
We had 162 games. I bet 130 of them were home. Mm-hmm. Right? You're on the road when you're playing in New York or you're playing in Philly. But, I mean, you go down to Tampa, 80% of the fans are Red Sox fans. Yeah. You come out to the West Coast, they love it. They love coming out here and supporting their team. So that's what I kind of got the opposite feeling of it. Like, we had a lot of home games. I mean, I was actually there for Ohtani's opening day in 2018. His first start in Anaheim, and I mean, it was sold out, 50,000 in Anaheim, and I bet 60% of them were Red Sox fans
too.
So
I couldn't imagine like being a part of like that. Like, you look at like Kelsey, like Jason in Philly, like they love him there, and like especially a fan base like that, or like a fan base like Buffalo, where like Josh Allen put his high school like
fireball sweatshirt
for sale, and they sold like $50,000 worth of them. Like something like that would even ever happen in San Diego.
Boston fans are amazing fans. Yep. New York, Philly. Let's just like that area.
Only if New York is good though.
True, but
because if New York's bad, like I saw that with the Giants. Like if you're not playing well,
it's a love-hate thing with them. I feel like quick. Boston, and you can relate to this a lot more. Boston's fans, they love you when you're good. They hate you when you're bad, but they still support you when you're bad.
No doubt.
Yeah, they're still going to show up. They might show up to tell you suck, but they're going to show up. As a lot of other places, they don't. But they're only as good as you were yesterday. Man, it's one day at a time with them. And I mean, their media, everybody is just.
That's what I heard. Ruthless. Just one of my really good buddies that I played in Mexico with the last couple of years. He played with him this year, Brendan Bernardino, and he loves it. He actually moved there.
Yeah.
He bought a place. He still has his place out here in IB where we would stay when we played with Toros. He has his place out there, but he moved out there. And he's like, dude, I love it. It's like the culture. You're like, I love like winter. Wearing like the big jackets. Like he's like, I'm not used to it. I don't know how it's gonna go yet, but like the idea of it.
Find out in January when it's snowing.
Yeah.
Find out fast.
So we'll see how quick he comes back. But he said that he just fell in love with the city.
The city's awesome. It was one of the better. Obviously, it's a really big city, but it has little pockets of just like hometown feel, which was awesome. I was right there in Brookline. I wasn't far from the stadium. I was able to drive a scooter to the field. So I mean, I was like not even 2 miles. It was awesome. I loved it.
It's like the only big city I've never been to.
It's probably honestly one of
the. You never played in the. Oh yeah.
Not
even close.
It's like
so like, and we would stay in Providence when we would play.
Okay, I was wondering where you guys
it's closer
stayed.
to
Rhode Island
to Foxborough than Boston is.
So you never even been to Boston. We should take a trip.
Let's go.
You should.
That'd be sick.
That's
I would love
the
to go to
city
Fenway.
to get on.
I would love to go to Fenway.
Fenway's that's the spot to be, man. Even as a fan, I went, and one of the better days, even as a fan, I went and watched Sunday Night Baseball against the Yankees on the Monster, and it was one of the, gave you chills, like one of the cooler experiences ever. And that was 2018, and it was even like in the middle of me playing with them and up and down that year, and that was still one of the cooler days.
Yeah, one of my buddies played center for the Patriots for a long time, and he's not as big as I am, and he was like, "You're not gonna fit in those seats." And I was like, I didn't even think about it because they built the stadium so long ago with like normal guy.
They haven't upgraded the seats. Everything's the same.
Seats are all standard. I mean, there's even seats like they just fill seats in. Like you'll have a seat and people know I don't know what the numbers are, but you'll have seats that you can't see half the field because there's pillars in the middle.
I've seen that.
And so but yeah, those seats are maybe 16, 17 inches wide. Yep. They're not wide at all, man. But it's
better lose some more weight.
Keep it rolling.
Talk about Red Sox Yankees playing in that I guess it's still like a rivalry, but how East Coast baseball means a little bit more. Like the Yankees could be bad, Red Sox could be bad, but that game is still big for the fans.
Big game. So I was up and down a little bit. I got called back up in 2018 when Joe Kelly got in the fight, and so that was one of my callbacks. That was probably my third or my fourth coming back to the game, and I never really it's a Yankee Red Sox rivalry. Like you're facing the Yankees. There's guys on this team that are just unbelievable. I never got it until we went to London. When we went to London, I'm waiting for my wife to get to land. We took our team plane, and I think we landed. We got to the hotel at like 9. My wife was getting at 11. So I'm just sitting there and I'm watching ESPN, and the whole hour clip London series shows up, and it literally gave me goosebumps just watching it. Like, damn, like. And it was the first overseas trip that America's, I guess not to Japan, over in London and in Europe. And that was one of the cooler things being a part of. Just that whole rivalry is, it's serious. And especially you get into like the early 2000s with Pedro and Big Poppy, and you get into some of those guys. Veritek was on our staff that year or the next year in 2020. And so and it's just, they just want to win so bad. It's not like they hate them, because we don't necessarily hate the Yankees. We just want to beat them. That's the hardest, that's the most important thing. And it's just because of the respect game, because they know they're so good. And Boston, when they were younger in their career, just wasn't good at all. But now, I mean, in the last 2 decades, it was really good. And then after the 2018 season, they've kind of been putting a whooping on the Red Sox, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of gone back and forth, right? With the whole Babe Ruth thing and the curse, and then 2004 coming back and beating the Yankees, and then going in
2007, 2013. Yeah, right? 2018 they had some big.
2018, you got that ring, right?
I do got a ring.
2018 World Series ring.
Dang.
I know I was gonna bring it. I was gonna.
Should have.
See, I was running around with these kids, man.
Oh, kids. I can feel you on that one. That's for sure.
It's cool.
But no, yeah, that was when things kind of hit me a little different walking into that series, and I was actually blessed to pitch in both games that year in London. I threw the 9th inning in Game 1, and then I gave it all up, and I don't know if it was the 4th or 5th inning in Game 2. But no, it was. I think I gave up like 5 runs and recorded 1 out, something like that in Game 2. But I think there was 60 runs scored those 2 games. It was something crazy like that.
How was that stadium? Ball fly or?
The ball flew there. So it's made
indoor, outdoor?
It's outdoor, but it's a track facility, so it's made for no wind. And then the mounds were weird, the fences were short, the balls were juiced in 19.
That's what Kemp was saying, remember?
Right, there was a lot of things not working for the pitchers. But I mean, we're all playing the same game, we're all playing with the same ball. You can't make excuses about it. But I mean, we knew something was wrong when Porcello goes out there, and I think he gave up 7 or 9 runs, one of the two, and got 1 out in the first. Tanaka goes out there to start his first inning, and he gives up 7. Right, so there were 16 runs scored in the first inning, and we're going, what? Where are we playing? It felt like you were playing on the moon, right? Not one guy can get a ball down. Right, Porcello's a sinker ball down, ground ball. Tanaka's a split, right? All he's doing, and nothing is getting to the bottom part of the zone. So that was kind of. It was eye-opening, but at the same time, like, we didn't throw bullpens when we were there. Like, we flew in. You had practice on Friday, game Saturday, game Sunday, and you were out of there. So it's not like we got to see how the conditions were playing. It was go get it.
Because in football, when you guys go play, some of the guys are going some of the teams are going way earlier now, practicing there. And then the Jaguars or somebody stayed for 2 weeks?
Jaguars
they got to
for 2 weeks.
They had to stay there. So you guys flew in, played 2 games, flew out.
Well, a lot of guys, a lot of guys will. So, like, if it's a West Coast team, they'll play like an East Coast team, and then they'll play London. So they'll leave right after the East Coast game, and then go over and stay in London for that whole week, and then just fly all the way back to whatever West Coast.
And that's what I wish we kind of paired it up with the All-Star break, so you can get 3 or 4 days and go, be a tourist, man.
Yeah.
We literally flew in. We actually had to make up a game against, I want to say, Kansas City. We were supposed to fly early in the morning, and we had to make up a game at like 12 or 1, and then we flew out after that. We had to finish a game that got rained out. It was something. It was the only off day that we both had. And then we flew in. We landed at 9 in the morning is when we got to the hotel. Some guys literally got to the hotel, grabbed their golf clubs, and went and played golf. And then a lot of guys, my wife was coming, so we stayed and was a tourist from 11 to 5. We had a dinner, mandatory dinner at 5. The next day we had practice. So yeah, we got in on Thursday. Flew in. We left Wednesday night, got in Thursday morning. And
did everybody travel, or like the guys that weren't pitching in that series, did they stay back? Everybody?
Everybody went that was on the active roster.
Okay.
That was like some of the guys. There was a guy, one of my buddies was, I don't know if he was rehabbing or he got put on the DL right when it happened, but he couldn't go. And it was, his wife already bought a plane ticket. It was a mess.
So the guys in the rotation that weren't going to pitch one of those days, they're just on vacation.
Oh, they're on full-fledged vacation.
They loved it. That's the best right there. When you go to a trip and you're not pitching that trip, you get your work in, and then you're just...
But we flew right back into Toronto and played a 3-game set in Toronto. Right when we left Sunday night, we had Monday off, which was actually July 1st, which is like their big holiday. and then we played a 3-game set in Toronto. So those guys were.
That was a trip then.
Oh, it was long. It was a couple days, and then we flew into Detroit right after, and then finally All-Star break and back home.
Dang.
You said you guys they got off the plane and started playing. They grabbed the golf clubs and started playing golf. I wouldn't even cross my mind if I was like playing like.
You don't get any chances to go play across the pond. Man.
No, I understand, guys, but like
we do it.
Football season, there's no shot.
Oh yeah,
there's no shot.
They do it every off day. I think we play golf.
Kickers and punters can do it, but not the guys that actually play. Man, that's
not the guys getting banged up.
Yeah,
definitely not on a Monday or Tuesday.
Definitely not. You can't even.
Could you even swing a club?
Yeah, you can't even walk. You can't even like wipe your ass. Like swing a club. I can't swing a club anyway, but like.
Yeah, football players get beat up. We were in the boxing gym the other day, and he had put the mitts on, and his pinky, because his hands are so jacked up from blocking, his pinky gets like locked up and bent, and he can't move it, and he has to go in there with his other hand, pull his pinky out.
Yeah, man, it's rough in these streets.
Yeah, tape them up.
Athletes, we're always getting hurt. You've had a couple injuries, but you're a guy that's. I wouldn't say that you have, a rubber arm or anything, but you take care of your body, very, very hardworking. You're a guy that kind of constantly throws and stays in shape when you're getting older. Correct. In your career. You kind of, I wouldn't say that you save your bullets, but you're a little bit smarter now than when you were younger. So what's your approach for staying healthy?
I threw a lot. I did a lot of it going. I like throwing a lot. I think most guys will be like, yeah, I'll throw like 5 or 6 bullpens before I go to camp. And I want like 5 or 6 live ABs before I go to camp, maybe even more. And I learned that when I went down to Venezuela in 2015, and I was only 25, 26 at the time. And I was just learning, just the more you throw, the more you throw, the more you throw. That was the best spring training I ever had. And I threw from November 8th all the way through. My last game was end of January was a Caribbean series. And then I walked straight into camp on February 10th or February 12th. And that's really when I was like, all right, I could just keep pitching, right? As long as you're taking care of your body, you're not banged up and shoulders not barking. It's, can you keep throwing? And now you're going to feel good. All your off-speed stuff's ready. Your command's a whole lot better. But a lot of guys, they want to, I've never been blessed to walk in and be like, oh, I made this team. I'm walking in. I've been fighting for every job I've gotten in the last, ever since pretty much the A's. My first time getting released with the Reds, 2015, you walk in and your back's against the wall. You're fighting for that job. Obviously, about it, right? Oh, yeah. And you don't take anything for granted, and that's part of it's the blessing and the curse. Like, you got to walk in ready to go. As in, some guys will be like, yeah, season starts whatever that is, April 1. I don't got to be ready on February 15th. As in, first spring training game against the Boston College, I'm pitching 2 innings, and I got to go out there and record 6 outs. So that's some of it to where I need it to, and I've liked it. I've liked it a lot. Even this past year, I was getting ready, and I started in independent ball, and I was hoping to get a job going into camp. But Christmas Day was my first day throwing live ABs. My first bullpen was in Thanksgiving, so I threw a month of bullpens, and I was throwing live ABs every 6th day, pretty much. From Christmas all the way up until end of April when I went out for season. But I think that's a big reason why I threw 3 starts and signed. And got picked up by the Mariners this past year. Because
you're ready. You and I would throw, and it's like full game. There was one time I wore pants. You were going up and down 3 or 4 times. I just threw once. You threw like 5 innings, and we have the TrackMan or the Rapsodo up there, looking at the numbers, asking me how it looks. I'm asking you how it looks. Like you're actually trying to get better 100%. when you're throwing these bullpens, and I think a lot of pitchers just do it to get in shape.
That's the way they're looking at it. Is they're trying to.
And that's how I looked at it too. To like, you think that you already have your pitches and you're getting in shape, then you're going to go to spring training, and then you're going to get better, and then go into the season. Like when you're young, you don't know.
No.
When you get older, you're like, all right, I did this, and this during the season. I need to work on this. I got to do something. I got to develop something. I got to get better. And that's what you kind of open my mind with everything when it comes to like, just get out there and work and just get out there and do it. Like, just go do it. You can't play a game like this season. Like when you're playing every day, you can get better a lot. faster. But you have to make up those scenarios, and you have to get hitters. You don't care who shows up. High school kids.
It doesn't matter.
Hey, he wants to face you.
Good luck.
Yeah, honestly, good luck. Yeah.
I won't throw away.
Did you see that? Did you see that?
I didn't see the video. I heard. Gosh. I told him to go get you a bomb bat.
Yeah.
I didn't need one.
No, I didn't need one. I didn't see it.
I
don't even know what the outcome was.
I hit 2 out.
Really?
Yeah. One with metal, one with wood. Oh, I was throwing pretty hard. Oh. I was grooving it right in in his wheelhouse. He got some timing. He started to barrel him up.
Not to let you hit it, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
I
wouldn't touch you. I wouldn't touch you.
I had the L screen. I was throwing him BP. Perfect. Yeah, I was trying to help him. I was trying to get him out. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've hit BP once in 17 years. So.
Okay, so I hit 2, and we didn't have any batting gloves, and I was using a wood bat. It was kind of slippery, so I'm trying to hold on to it, and I got jammed like the second pitch because he's throwing to me, right, all over the place.
How was that? How was throwing?
My
There's
shoulder.
A lot of football guys.
I mean, I can throw, but my shoulders are just jacked up. Like, I mean, I grew up playing baseball, so I know how to throw and everything like that. But like, I've had shoulder surgery on my right shoulder. Like,
so it's not
no. Yeah. No. So he was throwing them all over the place, and I got jammed and hit a few. And then the next day, my forearms are really sore. But the following day, my thumb was so sore. It was hurting. I couldn't grip anything. My forearms were so sore. I couldn't barely turn and open the doorknob. And all I did was take 10 G-hacks.
Couple swings. So I hit BP one time. We're getting 2019. I got in that bat in Arizona my first day back in the big leagues in 19. Don't swing. I mean, 15, 20 times they told me, and I was leading off the inning. So obviously I just stood there and I'm not swinging. My catcher's J.R. Murphy, who caught me 2 years previously in AAA, and he's like, what the hell are you doing up here? You don't got batting gloves on. You're not wearing glasses. I go, do you think I'm swinging? I'm not swinging. And I don't know. I forgot who was starting for the Diamondbacks. But he tells him, hey, he's not swinging. So it was 2-1 at the time. He just groups 2 heaters right by me, and I just keep him moving, right? So now we're getting ready to go face Philly in the next interleague play. And they're like, hey, Walden, go take some hacks on the cages. Go get ready. And I was like, we got some guys hitting BP on the field. I'm going to take my BP in Fenway. Second pitch, jammed up, just like you. I messed my thumb up for 2 weeks straight. I couldn't throw a sinker, and I screwed it up. But I did hit a homer. That's all I cared about. I hit one and called it good. But I literally, second pitch, jammed up, hit this duck fart right to second base. And my thumb was literally ruined for 2 weeks of pitching.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm out there facing Philly, and that was when we made it to the West Coast trip, and golly, that was tough.
Hitting's hard.
There's no way.
So hard.
No way.
It took me a good 10, 15 pitches to even track the ball to my bat,
It wasn't he didn't get started off to a very good start. No. He whiffed a couple, popped him straight up, and then one he got into, and he goes, oh, there we go. And it was barely over his shortstop. And I was like, dude, I don't know.
That's what
I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. And then he started to get his timing, and I was like, all right. And I just started grooving him, spinning him the best I can, grooving him right there. So he would just pull him off to left field. Yeah. And he got it. He did it.
One, though. You got two. Sorry, I don't want to.
Don't shortchange.
Everyone's big.
We went to the taco truck throwdown on Saturday. That was right, Saturday. Yeah. We had to judge the tacos. We ate way too many. We should have just did one bite and scored it. We ate the first 15 tacos, ate the whole thing, right? And so we were pretty toasted. I'm still barely recovering today, and this was 3 days ago. But he was going around to everybody, hey, you see this ballpark? I hit a homer. Hey, see that fence left field? I hit one out.
Yeah, most people they don't understand. It's not that easy.
Nobody believed me. Bat. Nobody believed me I could do it either.
I wouldn't have said if you asked me that you hit one. But that's what I asked him. I said, "Are you throwing? What are you doing on a tee?" I could see it. Just
I would rather
brute strength.
I would rather.
But people don't understand. He's 6'7", 280 pounds, athlete, right? Offensive linemen are pretty athletic, so he can. If he connects with one, it's gonna go. The only thing is how many is he gonna be able to
round ball, round bat.
Connect with?
It's not easy.
And that was the thing. I grew up playing baseball, so I had the skill in the back pocket. I just had to find it.
Yeah.
That's I wasn't worried.
It's also pretty impressive. He hadn't taken BP.
No, that's what
up to that point. Like he would swing in the cage at Athletic Performance and hit these softballs with a little kid's bat. That was like his practice. And I literally went and picked up the bag of wood bats from David Rome.
Okay.
Picked up his wood bats and took them, and then he got a couple high school players
metal
like
bats, whatever,
medals, and because that was the bet, he had hit it with a metal bat. He could hit it with a metal bat.
Yeah.
Because wood, he did it with both, which is very impressive. But I told him, I was like, dude, a good wood bat, if you square it up, it's going to have more pop than
just as much or more
that high school.
Some of those, those bats are bad.
If you don't hit it in the center, it just
hurts.
Yeah,
it's like hitting blades in golf.
It's gonna, exactly. That's exactly what I told him.
Well,
but he
did
it,
man. And do it again, dude.
He did it.
I was jacked up that next day though, ribs and knee.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say oblique and intercostal be feeling it.
His back,
my back, my arms are fine though. If it was like my abs and my left knee, I got a torn meniscus in that one, so I'll turn it on and everything was just not the best.
Yeah.
It's tough in these streets trying to
do it.
It is
trying to stay an athlete after 11 years of getting in car accidents.
That's all right. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah. So, talk to me about Blue Jays. When you went from the Blue Jays to the A's, because you and I was in Double A at the time, and you had just signed with the A's, and you were in Midland.
Mm-hmm.
But you had gotten called up with the Blue Jays.
Correct.
But you technically hadn't made your pitching debut, and then you got DFA'd, and then you got picked up. So what all happened?
I was
there?
they call them like ghost players is what happened. So 2014, I go to big league camp. I threw okay. I had some decent starts or some decent outings in camp. I got sent down to AAA, and within the first 10 days of season, you can't call up a guy on the 40-man roster because there was other option days.
And you were on the 40-man.
I was not on the 40-man.
You were not on the 40-man.
I was just a minor league free agent at the time. And without an injury, if there's an injury, you can call up anybody on the roster. If there's no injury, you got to call somebody off the roster. Just like if you get sent down, you can't get called back up for 10 days until there's an injury. So we actually DFA'd Jeremy Jeffries, who ended up having 8 more years of unbelievable baseball in the back end of his career. But we DFA'd him on Game 4, Game 5. He had blown 2 or 3 saves. And so they DFA'd him. And they were supposed to call up Chad Jenkins. They ended up calling me up because of the rule. That was April 6th of 2014. I get called up. We're actually facing the Yankees first series. It was Jeter's last year. And there was only – I know what I'm there. I'm there to be the long guy. I know I'm only going to pitch in a blowout by 8-10 runs, if anything. So we're winning first game we're losing 8-2. And I'm like, ooh, I got a chance here. Against the Yankees in Toronto, 8-2 ball game in the third. Early, phone rings. Hearts beaten. Mike Redmond, another long reliever, a journeyman. He was like our true long reliever. He gets called. He throws 3 2/3 on 33 pitches.
Carvin.
Batista goes up, hits I think it was a 3-run or a grand slam, pulls the game back into 2 or 3 runs. My day was done. I had no chance getting in that ball game anymore. And then after that, I had no days. I mean, everything was a 1 or 2 run ball game for the next 4 or 5 days. On day 10, I got sent down.
You were up for 10 days?
I was up for 5. So I got called up on game 6. I was up for 5.
And
then on game 10 of the season,
I see.
I got sent down. They called up somebody from the 40-man, a guy, Neil Wagner, throws 102 at the time. And so that was kind of the little short stint. I'm talking to the pitching coach. He's still a pitching coach there today, Pete Walker. And he goes, man, just be ready. Like you're gonna be on the train back and forth. Buffalo to Toronto is only an hour and a half drive. We had 3 injuries in a matter of 2 days. Nobody wanted to get put on the 60-day DL to open up a roster spot. We needed to open up a infielder, and so I ended up getting DFA'd and claimed by the A's, and that's when I kind of started the old merry-go-round around baseball, and I went from 1 org to 4 in a matter of 3 years.
You don't see that often in baseball, right? Like,
no, I was one of like 7 players in the history of baseball to get called up and not make a debut, and then I didn't make my debut until 4 years later.
Yeah, like that's. I was talking about more of like the merry-go-round of going to different organizations too, right? Because I feel like the the baseball people or baseball players are more likely to stay with one organization for a longer period of time, whether it's just going up and down with the like farm system rather than like going to different teams like free agency.
And I was signing minor league free agent deals, which is kind of the weird part, as in if somebody just like the Red Sox, I could have been a free agent again walking into 18 and I signed back with them, and that's kind of when they owned my rights, or I got put on the roster and I stuck with them. But yeah, I mean, I was wanting to sign back with the Twins in 2016 after I had my year with them. And like, it just, as you get older, I was 27, 28. And that's kind of where that point of you're either going to make it or break it. And I was lucky to keep signing AAA deals with teams and just keep pushing. But eventually sticking with the Red Sox. But yeah, it was kind of, the merry-go-round it's different. There's not a lot of it. You see a lot of guys that are like you would call like practice squad to the show is they get DFA'd, claimed by another team, and you'll see it like 4 or 5 times in a row. And I just had a terrible year in Sacramento that year in 2014. Was it really bad? No, like 3 other guys had the same numbers as me, but I was the last guy put on the roster. I was the first guy taken off. And then I ended up getting sent down and moved over to Midland, and we played again against each other in Corpus, and that was a good team that we had. I mean, that team won the league also that year.
Yeah, you guys were good. We weren't as good, but then that's when we started. Well, 14, I believe the high A team
won it,
and then in 15 we won in AAA.
Yep.
And then the Astros just started knocking out American League championships.
Turning
after that. And like I could see it. I mean, I was there. 2012 is when they brought in SIG and all this stuff, and they were doing all the data, and that really didn't catch up. Like everybody. 2010 and 11, they started collecting data. 12, like when Luna took over, and then it just went, and now everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing the same thing.
It does help having a first pick overall for 4, 5, 6 years, and you hit on.
And they made good ones.
Yeah, I mean, when you sign good ones, and that's the hardest part. Like a lot of teams, the Orioles didn't hit on a lot of them early, and now they started hitting on some of their first rounders, second rounders, and that's why they're going to be a good team for the next 5, 6, 7 years in the
That's
East.
the tough thing. Then the difference in football and baseball is baseball, your number 1 overall pick, you might or might not be a great franchise changing player. Yeah, like Mark Appel was one of the biggest busts, one of the best guys in the world. He didn't make his debut in like 10 years.
Yeah, with
after he was out of baseball for 2 years, came back. Yep. Really cool story. But in football, if you have that number 1 overall pick in a really good draft class, that's going to change the whole organization.
Yeah, for sure.
Baseball, you don't know.
But yeah, if they bust, they don't make it. Like the GM's getting fired if they don't hit. If you got the first 5, 6, 7 picks and they can't crack the roster
in the NFL.
Yeah, they're getting fired. In the minor leagues, I mean, with the Blue Jays, we had 5 guys my year in 2007, 5 guys drafted in the first 2 rounds, maybe even 6. 2 of them made it to the big leagues, Brett Cecil and J.P. Arancibia, but the other 3 or 4 never even made it out of AA. They were good ball players. They were all high school kids, young kids. But just because you were a first rounder and you signed for 1.1, 1.4 million wasn't a guarantee. And that's kind of the big difference, especially drafting high school kids and as opposed to some college guys. But I think it's more of what your organization needs now. And now there's a lot of orgs they're doing things a lot different. And there's not as many, and there's also not as many guys like Mike Leake that go draft to the big leagues. Finnegan, right? Finnegan went straight to the big leagues pitching the College World Series, but then 2 or 3 years later he was in AAA again. And you're like, what? Like, how is that? The game is different. The game's hard. It's a physical and mental grind is a lot of it.
How is the new CBA and everything changed baseball the last couple of years?
On the minor league side has been huge. On the big league side,
talk about that. Talk about the differences when we first started coming up in the minor leagues. We were making $1,000 a month for 6 months. Now,
killing it.
Now they're making more money. They're getting paid money to live out. You're getting paid in the off season. All that. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I went to a lot of the meetings and a lot of the, I don't want to say the negotiations because we had representatives doing it, but we were in a lot of the meetings And I wanted to be the older guy in the meetings, like putting some common sense to what some of these guys are saying. Like some guys were asking about stuff like traveling nurses are getting. We're not traveling nurses. We're professional baseball players. Mm-hmm. We're in a different realm. They're saving lives. We're getting to play a game. Mm-hmm. It's completely different. But we went from, now you walk into professional baseball. I think if you're at the complex, you're making like $22,000 a year, which is more than you were making in AAA while you're on your minor league deal. Yeah. So I think it goes $22,000 in the complex league, $25,000 a year in A ball, 27 in high A, maybe 27 in double A. I know AAA is at $35,000 a year now. On a 6-month season, you're making a little over $5,000 a month, almost $6,000 a month. That's a whole lot better than walking in and you're making $1,800, $1,900 a month. So on a 5-month season, you were making $11,000 roughly a year in AAA on your first 7-year deal, which everybody signs coming out of high school or college. You're signing a 7-year deal. They own your rights. There's no getting out of it until you get released or called up to the big leagues. That's
and out of that $1,500 you're making per month, you're on your own for housing.
Yeah. So I remember my very first year was 2007. I was in Dunedin, Florida. I was making $1,100 a month. My checks were $444, and we were paying rent every 2 weeks. $444, big money, and we were paying rent and clubhouse dues. And clubhouse dues were $25 a week, and rent was there was 4 guys sharing a 2-bedroom apartment, $250 each. It was $1,000 unfurnished. We had a TV from Walmart on the floor. Freaking
that you returned in the 3 months. You got your money back,
and air mattress and some lawn chairs in there. That's it.
Damn.
And
that's
so
crazy.
It's a little bit different now. Now living is guaranteed. Meal money's a little bit better. The biggest thing that I've liked, obviously, the living situation is the biggest one. And some guys, they were trying to fight like we should ask for more money and not get living. No, you guys don't understand. You don't want to sign a lease. I've had 3 leases that I signed the lease and left within 10 days.
And somebody else has to come over, and you have to just hope that they don't trash it.
Yeah, they don't trash it, or you better hope that they want to live there.
Yep.
Because if not, you're on the hook for it.
You're still paying it.
You're paying it no matter what. You sign a 5-6 month lease. Finding a 5-month lease is almost impossible.
Yep.
No apartment complex wants you for 6 months.
Extended stays.
Yeah, right. So and that's what I started going as I got older and I had the money. Right, but if you're saying an extended stay, it's $100 a day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? Yeah, we couldn't.
And
that's
that's $3,000. Who you gonna? Yeah. You better room up with 4 other dudes. At best, right? We were making $88 a month.
Yep.
All right, so we didn't have that option. Now, they're giving you living situations, and there's like they have to be good living situations. Like there's no, even like an extended stay will count if they want to put you up in one, but there has to be a kitchen. There has to be an oven, a stove, full-size refrigerator for the team to put you up as an option. A lot of teams are doing really well. The Mariners this year were awesome. The Brewers last year were awesome. But they kind of get to pick where in town they're putting you up. Most of them are roughly $2,000 apartments, I would say, give or take. The Brewers in 22, we had roommates. This past year, you had your own room. You had your own apartment. Most guys had a 1-bedroom apartment. Which was nice. They will also pay you out. I don't know if every team was the same with the Mariners in Tacoma, because Tacoma is kind of expensive. They were paying us $3,200 a month to live off of where they provided housing, and my rent was right around $4,000 a month. I had a little 1-bedroom apartment, and me, my wife, and my 4 kids were all in there. Damn. So I was still sharing the house. Right, and we just make it happen. My wife's a grinder. She makes it happen. She likes traveling. But yeah, she having that but it was still one of the better living situations, being in a nice part of town, having things walkable for us. So the living situation is by far way better. And then the food aspect. I know the Astros were one of the better teams, one of the first teams to put some money into their players' foods. But every organization is by themselves. Not to bash certain orgs, but some orgs are paying $1,000 a day for pregame, postgame. Mm-hmm. Some orgs are like the Dodgers are paying $5,000, $6,000 a day in just pregame, postgame, and AAA. So,
is there still clubhouse dues in the minor leagues? So
nowhere.
big leagues banged it, and then the minor leagues
banged it. And we used to get $100 cash a day, and then you were paying $75 a day in dues. Mm-hmm. So you were making $25 if you didn't tip. Now
in the big leagues,
mm-hmm. Now there's no dues, and you
only
tip.
get $30 a day though, right?
$30 a day.
So it's about the same.
But you get older vets, guys that have been around before all that negotiation happened. They're still writing checks for the same amount. They were still writing checks for $200, $250 a day that you're there. Mm-hmm. So they feel like that's just the way you do it, and it's a little bit different. As in, they told guys that were pre-ARB, guys that were making minimum, you don't got to tip unless you ask for something. You ask for whatever it is, then make sure you tip them. But other than that, you don't got to worry about tipping. Our veterans will take care of them. Yeah. And obviously, we had a good team with the Red Sox, and we had some guys that were making some good money, which helped out.
And pre-ARB, what is pre-ARB? Can you explain a little bit? Because I know that it's different. So can you explain how it used to be with the 3 years minimum, then 3 years arbitration? I know because Kenny always asks about this. And then now with the new CBA, how many years of ARB and how many years can you become a free agent?
So they never changed it on the pre-ARB.
So it's still six total?
It's still 3 and 3. 3 years of service time. So I was up a little bit in 14, 28 days, 30 days in 18, a full year in 19, a full year in 2020. But I have 2 years and 14 days of service. So I would need 172 days count as a full year of service. And so they go game by game. At 3 years of service, you can now get your arbitration eligible.
Yeah, so at Kenny's or Tony Kempson, his third year of arbitration, he's a free agent next year. He can go wherever he wants. Before that, whoever you're with, they have control of you from day one all the way until they either DFA you or release you.
And so in his situation, they were going to tender him a contract or non-tender him. Mm-hmm. And you can negotiate. If you don't like it, you can go to a court. And these judges don't know squat about baseball. Mm-hmm. They're just there looking at the numbers, what your case proves, what his case proves. And that's where a lot of there's some hard feelings that come out of that. It would be like everybody saying, well, hey, Kenny's too fat. He can't move to his left. He can't do this. He can't do that. They're trying to give you a reason to pay you less. Mm-hmm. And all you're saying is, I'm the best guard in the game. Right. I do this good. My quarterback loves me. There's a reason why, right? You're pleading your case why, and it's either one or the other when you go into court. There's no middleman.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? That's why. So remember when we were talking about the data and how 40-man guys wouldn't wear those things because they would use it against them in ARB. So these
if you're one step slower, they'll bring it to ARB. Any reason to pay you $100,000 less, they're going to do it. Right? Corbin Burns had a big argument with the Brewers, huge argument with the Brewers, and it was over. I want to say it was about $800,000 to $1 million. He still got paid. It was $18 million to $20 million or whatever it was. But he's our opening day starter. He pitched in the playoffs. He did all this, and the only thing they said was, "You lost the game in Game 5 or whatever the last playoff game was."
Dang.
We didn't. Right? You couldn't catch up or sack up in that game, and that was our issue. When it really came down to it, you didn't perform. And he's saying, "I'm on opening day. I'm pitching for you guys." And so he was pissed. He was not happy about the situation. I've seen a lot of guys. I mean, they're fighting for $80,000 to $1.1 million.
Yeah, you got to get it when you can, though. That's the
window is so short. Yeah. You don't know what next year's bringing.
For sure.
And they can non-tender you in a heartbeat, but once the season starts, your money's guaranteed. Once you sign those, even the ARB deals, as in ARB. Let's say anybody signs an ARB deal, it's percentages you're guaranteed through camp. So it's 25% in week 1, 50%, so on and so forth. And I don't know exactly because I haven't gone through it, but I do know certain percentages. Once you make the team, the rest of it's guaranteed.
Yeah,
that's the different. That's where the different ball game is.
That's what sucks about the football life.
Yeah,
you can get cut any time and nothing's guaranteed.
But what if you get hurt? Let's say you sign it. We'll just say 1.6 million or 1.7 million. You're making $100,000 a week. And on week 6, you get hurt.
So usually there's some clauses in some contracts that if you go to IR, they'll give you 65% of your contract.
And they're getting insurance on it. Are they not?
Right? Because I don't know, but that's
Tyson signs for $1.7 million, and on game 4 he gets hurt. He's getting his money the teams are claiming insurance. I don't know how much they're getting back from the insurance.
Yeah.
I'm not a front office person, but I know that they're getting money to pay him his deal.
Yeah, I know that's on like all the rookie deals. It's like the 65% if you go to IR. But a lot of like the big vet deals and stuff like that, they'll have like little. I mean, my deal I had in Detroit didn't have any of that percentage in it. So
you still made 100 if you.
I still.
If you got hurt.
Yes, but I had another clause. I had a dress clause in my contract too. So I had 200.
You got more money if you.
Well, so out of my number, another number was smaller, and if I dressed every game, I got that number.
For sure. Like if you were
I was playing,
And I mean, I honestly wish there was more deals that way, in my opinion. Right? Like, I want to see veterans. Like, do I think Max Scherzer is worth $35 million? Yes, I think he's one of the best pitchers in the game, or whoever, any of these veterans. But I would like it to be more with these younger guys of, here's your base salary at whatever that is, X. If it's $500,000 or $1 million, but you throw 60 games, you get rewarded for it. If you're putting the team right. I'm still getting the same outs as everybody else, or whoever that is. Right. Tony Kemp didn't get paid for a long time, man. In my opinion, but he played 145, 155 games a year, and when it was time to play at 7, he was lacing them up.
Yeah, any position.
He was wherever you needed him, and those are the guys that I want to see. If you play 150 games, if you dress out just like that, there's got to be a way that we can that players get rewarded for that, because just like you're saying, availability.
Football has that though. It's called player performance. So there's like an algorithm or like a equation that goes on at the end of the season, depending on how much money you counted towards your team.
Okay.
And like the salary cap.
Yeah.
And the amount of plays that you played, you get like a bonus.
Okay.
Right. So like.
That's kind of cool.
One of the years I was like bottom of the barrel when I was in San Diego, and I ended up starting like 11 games, played a bunch, and I was like number I think 19 in the whole entire league in the player performance bonus, which was like really cool. It was a good amount, but it wasn't like I wasn't getting starter money, if that makes sense. So it's like I'm making league minimum at X amount. And this is going to bump me up a little bit, but not like it's not like I'm.
You're not making 2x what you were making.
Not making 2x.
I was wondering.
It was maybe 0.25.
Okay, so it's enough to go on vacation.
Oh yes, it was definitely nice, but like, that's a little bit of the way to reward those guys who are making the league minimum deals, and now that they're out there performing and doing like what a $10 million a year a guy was doing.
Yeah,
and it's just a little way to throw them a bone. Well, Phillip Rivers is still getting that player performance too, but his is way smaller because of the amount that he gets.
His salary,
his hit,
percentage of salary. See, I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, but like the amount was like not even worth. I mean, I'll take it,
100%.
but I'm
not
like,
gonna discard any
yeah,
money,
but like, should have been more.
Yeah.
Was I outperforming my contract? 100%.
100%, and that's where I would like to see more incentive-based stuff, even for guys in ARB, right? Some guys, I mean, I had a buddy that missed arbitration by 5 days.
Man.
And I told him, I was like, hey, it's only like $2 million. Don't worry about it. Right? You're still going to. And so the next year, he signed for league minimum or a little over league minimum, and minimum at the time was $575. I think he signed for like $625, $650. When if he went to ARB, he had just won a World Series. He had just put the team on his back for the most part as a reliever. He was going to make 1.5, 1.8. But now the next year, as long as you perform decent, you're going to make double. So it's not only the first year we're like, well, that's only $600,000, $700,000. And then he was going to make 3.2. Yeah. And he was going to make 6.5. And you're going, well, now he had a bad year the next year and he made 1.1 the next year. And it's like, is 1.1 good? Yes, I understand that. But it could have made $4 million in that same stint, and he had been out of the game, went to Japan, came back at 32.
Yeah,
and he's like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to play this game.
It's crazy how the stars have to align in sports 100%. Too, right? Where it's like when you become free or when you become out of arbitration, and there's 5 other guys that are out of arbitration at your same position, and they're all better than you.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what happened with me with when I became a free agent at guard. There was 10 dudes that were like way better than I was. Pro bowlers getting these fat deals. Then it's just like little old me. Like, I'm not complaining, but I'm just like, if it was a year before, a year after, I probably would have been like 5 or 6, then I would have got paid X amount. So it's just, it's crazy.
Sign a ARB deal, and he became a free agent. The same closure signed a 5-year deal for $70 million. My buddy outperformed him that year. He went to ARB, made 3.5. The next year he was released and done out of the game. And if he would have been a free agent that year, he would have signed a 5-year deal for $70 million. So the stars have to align. And that's the hardest part is you watch some of these guys and you could see how hard they're playing because they know it's their contract year. And it's not like they're taking it easy on other years because they're not. But
it means more.
But right, you
just
know
means
you
more.
got to feed the family.
Yeah.
And that's where the generational wealth and things happen and can align. You know you're walking into it. I mean, I had guys even in AAA that now I'm Rule 5 eligible. I got this going on. I got that going on. I got a chance to get picked up, or I got, and we had a guy this year that he was batting 285, 290 with 20 plus homers, 100 RBIs in July. They were supposed to call him up. Didn't happen. He went in a funk and went 0 for 2 weeks. Went all the way down to 240 with the same number of homers, same number of RBIs. And you're like, what happened, bub?
Damn.
Right. And it was all, and it's the mental side of the game of like, golly. Like there's no reason he shouldn't be in the big leagues right now. Zero reason. He's got some of the best numbers in AAA I've ever seen in my career of 10 years in AAA. And that guy didn't, and 2 weeks later, he's got average ass numbers in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, you got to, at the end of the day, you got to get lucky. Yep. And in baseball, I think it's really lucky. When you were an all-star, there was no reason why if somebody gave you a call, you were throwing the ball great. Mm-hmm. If you get a call, you're getting outs in the big leagues. Easy. Now, right, and later on in the year, you end up blowing your elbow. Right? Yeah. As in football, you're kind of like, you're taking one step, boom, I'm there. But if you're a practice squad guy, where you've been, something's got to happen. You got to get hurt at some point.
Yep.
Right? Somebody's got to get hurt. I'm not wishing on injury. Right?
It's the nature of the game.
Base, yeah. Right? And that's where it's hard to be a good professional teammate, a friend, and also being a competitor and saying, man, I gotta get mine too.
Yeah, it's not like wishing ill.
No, I want to
on anybody.
Everybody else.
Yeah, you just want a shot.
Right. I want no matter how that 6 and give up 2. I want to go 6 2/3, 7 and give up 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Give up 1. How do I do it in less pitches? Right? And it's not like it's just proven and you're pushing each other. And that was one of the cool things with the Blue Jays. We had a hell of a staff in AA. Aaron Sanchez. We had Stroman. At one time, we had Nicolino, Noah Syndergaard. We had like 7 guys that ended up making the big leagues on that staff. And it was just, we had a good team of starters that would just root for each other. And it wasn't like we were wishing ill on somebody that the other person does better. It was like, oh, you went 6, watch this.
Yep.
And that's when you start getting the good camaraderie and good teams. But that's hard. Baseball is a different animal, especially AA, AAA. As in the big leagues, it's all about winning. You get into football, it's all about winning. And that's where winter ball, playing in Mexico, playing overseas, that's all that matters.
Winning
and
is when
you
matters.
Get into that and you go, hey, it's fine that you we were up 4, you gave up 2. It's okay. It's okay. We won. Tomorrow you're gonna be in the same situation. Right? As in the minor leagues, you're like, fuck, man, I gave up 2 runs. Like I'm gonna hurt you're looking at your numbers or whatever, like, and you can't play that way. It's I see guys doing it in AAA now. Obviously, I'm older and I'm not like, these guys are striving to get to the big leagues. I've been there. I did it. 2017, I was almost, I don't want to say miserable, but it was like everything hurt me. I had a veteran that was hurt, and then he gets a start in the last month of the season. I was pissed. I wanted to get the start because if I started so many games, I had a chance to go to Korea, go to Japan, go wherever. And so our manager called us in and was like, that's just pure bullshit. This guy's played 10 years in the big leagues and he wants to make a chance to get back at it. He gets it. Like he's earned it. And it kind of hit something with me. Like, I mean, you're right. This guy's busted his ass and he's willing to come to AAA and do it and grind. If he missed 2 weeks with a little nagging injury and he wants to come back, he can do it. And obviously now that I'm 35, it's a little different. You look at it, right? I want to be the guy that, right? And I thought that you root on your teammates, and this year was a little different, being off and on the development list, and I'd start, go 10 days, 12 days without pitching, and go back out there and do it again. So it was a different year this year. For
Dang.
Sure.
So what's that? The development league? Is that something
new?
New?
It's the fake IL.
Phantom.
Yeah, it's a phantom. It's a phantom IL is what it is. And they'll have one or two guys. You can't have one or two guys on the team. But nowadays, like when you were playing, there was no rule on how many guys you could have in your org. 200, 220, whatever they wanted, they could have. Now there's a hard cap, and I don't know if it's 160 or 180. It might be 180. But any guy on the 60-day IL doesn't count towards it. But you can't just keep signing guys and filling up rosters and stuff like that.
Well, there's less minor league teams, right? Because when I was – so with Houston, we had the GCL, the Appalachian League, another short season. There was a New York Penn League. So 3 short season leagues. And then low A, high A, double A, triple A. What is it?
7 leagues.
Is it now? Is there still high A and high A and high A and low A?
So, yeah, they got Complex League is now instead of like the Arizona League or Florida League, and then it goes straight to low A. So there's some teams that have 2 complex teams, but they're thin. There's 27 guys per team. So, right, if you got 25 guys per team, you got 4 leagues, 4 A-ball, low A, high A, double A, triple A. There's 100 right there. Most rosters have 28 to 30, right? So if you have 30, that's 120, right? 30,
so you
60,
can't. So it's not a 25-man roster anymore.
20, we have 28-man rosters.
So
I believe 26-man.
So
rosters?
low A to triple A is now 28.
I think it might be 26. 26-man rosters, and then we got like 2 guys on the
because 25-man roster is tough.
That was tough, man.
Like
that
especially when you're only carrying 12 pitchers sometimes.
Yeah. There were some hard days.
And then a starter goes out in the second, and they were like, "All right, boys, strap it in. It's going to be a tough week."
Another one gets called up the next day, and you're strapping it in for sure.
Oh yeah.
So that's where a lot of the hard numbers count on the minor league side is different, and that's why guys are getting pushed. Like we didn't see that because it was step by step. Complex league, and the next year you go to short season, then you go to low A, you go to high A, and every year. And now it's you almost got to push guys because you're kicking guys out of the org. You got to get them running, and that's one of the hard, especially as an older veteran. It gets harder. I mean, I was playing with guys that were born in 1999. It was
in AAA too. This is not A ball.
I had a dude with the Giants my last year. He was born in the year 2000.
Yeah,
and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
There's no way. I'm 12 years older than this guy. Yeah. Like, come on. Supposed to block him.
How do you feel when you're Tom Brady playing against somebody who's born in 2000? Yeah. It's different. Tom Brady could probably have kids that
he probably does
same
have kids
age.
that age. But yeah, that's the hard. That's the grind of it is the numbers. The numbers are harder, but now they're pushing guys farther.
That's what Kip was saying. He's like, guys are getting called up after 1-2 years in the minor leagues. Whenever we were playing, it was like. You went every step, and then you got called up, 24, 25, 26. You're still pretty young. You're still there. Now guys are getting called up 21.
The fastest guy I've seen was David Cooper, first rounder out of Cal with the Blue Jays, but he had it in his contract. This was 2008. He signed that if he hit above 330 for 21 days consecutive, he gets called up until AAA. Well, he made it to AAA in his first year. Like, it was impressive. But, after his first game, he'd go 2 for 3, and he'd never dip under 330. So that was one of the cooler contracts that I've seen. But then, like, I had a guy last year, Sal Frelick, first full season, he was in AAA. He's in the big leagues right now with the Brewers.
You used to never see that. You would see somebody get called up to fill a couple days and then go back.
Yeah, but not to the big leagues.
Yeah, no.
You get a couple days in AA, AAA.
Yeah.
And they still do that, like what's close. Like, right, the Giants are in Sacramento, so they'll call guys from San Jose over. Like, they needed pitching bad this year. They had a guy get called up, and 2 guys go down.
San Jose's A ball, and then
low A.
And San Jose's low A, and then Sacramento's AAA. So they would just kind of bounce back and forth.
We're in Tacoma and Everett. Everett's an hour drive, so they would come over and fill in some spots for us if we needed them. You're the long reliever. If the game's out of hand, you got 2 or 3 innings. We did that a couple times, and even with position guys too. infielders. We had an infielder get called up, one get hurt. We needed a guy. But instead of bringing a guy from Arkansas, getting on a plane, and you're only going to be there 2, 3, 4 days. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just make it happen. But I think it's a cool experience. I mean, I know I never had it as a youngster. Going up and skipping 2 levels and just being able to be around the game. That's like if you were in college your second year and you're like, oh, let me go practice with the Jets for 4 days. Right? Like you don't get to see what that work ethic and that how they go about their business. It's a little bit different. And I think it's a good atmosphere for some of those kids.
It's good. The game's changing, which all sports have to evolve. Baseball is changing. Minor leagues are getting better.
They're getting better, but there's going to get less.
It is, and because we went when Kenny hit his home run at Chuck Chansey, we couldn't go into the locker room because they were 2 home runs, metal and wood. We couldn't go into the locker room or anything because they were doing upgrades that had to be done to meet MLB standards. So nowadays, even the locker rooms have to be up to standards. They have to have a certain amount of food available there, just how you were talking. Certain organizations put more money into it, but there is a standard that has to be there. And we didn't have no standard. It was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every other day, and then if you got lucky and made a couple of bucks or something, you would be able to go eat. Or if your parents came in town, you would get to go out to eat, to eat dinner because we were grinding. Like he was talking about his place. I remember when I was in A-ball here in California, we found a 2-bedroom apartment that was like $800 a month, and 3 of us shared it. Like one guy in the living room, and luckily they had like a, I don't know, kind of like a boosters club, but they don't give you any money. They, help you
bring
and
food or whatever.
Yeah, and they would have like these old mattresses that they would bring, or like a microwave or chairs, an old couch, and they would bring it so that we actually had like furniture. Oh yeah. But we didn't like it. You just had a mattress on the
100%
on the ground.
Mattress.
Like I had my own room, then we shared a bathroom, and then another guy had a room, and then we had a guy that was in the living room, and the guy in the living room would like always bring girls over, so we walk out of our room and there's just like some random chicks sleeping on the ground. You're 20 years old, 21, 22 years old, living your life.
First 6 years of my career, from 17 to 20 or 18 to 24, I never had 4 walls and a door. I was always in the living room because it was always cheaper. Always on an air mattress. First 6 years. I didn't get my first year in AA, which was my 7th year of my career. 2013 was my first year I got a door. But I had a girlfriend and my wife. But yeah, that was like neat. I mean, a little different. Different.
That's crazy.
We call that the grind.
Oh yes.
And now they're getting $3,000 apartments paid for, which is nice. But it's not going to be like, they're not just going to keep dudes along. Like if I was in the game and I got drafted at 18 years old, there's no way I would make it to the big leagues. Right? I mean, it took me 12 years to get there. There's no way I was going to stick around for that long. The way the game's set up now, they push you and you're either going to make it or break it. And that's the good and the bad, right? I mean, but you're going to see a lot of guys coming out of indie ball because if guys want to grind it out, there's definitely a path. It's a hard one. It's the same one that we went through back in the day.
Yeah, but I feel like that, kind of made us who we are today, right? 100%. I don't feel like I would be able to be successful in anything outside of baseball if I didn't go through those years, right? Like,
correct.
You kind of had to have that in order to get better as a human. It's kind of weird.
The pay never rattled me. It was more of the headache of finding a place, doing the electric bill.
Because we didn't have any help. Nobody helped. Our name went on the lease. Our name went on the electric bill, PG&E, and then whenever we got called up, we were so happy like to go to AA, and you just hope somebody comes and doesn't F up your credit, right? Yeah.
But that guy needs a spot to be, because if not, where's he going? But if it was a first rounder, they're going to the extended stay.
Yep.
Right? And so if they sign for $1 million, it's a little different. Mm-hmm. But you were just hoping that they'd fill that void and, hey, yeah, we'll take it over. And so that was the living situation is the best thing the minor leagues ever did. Mm-hmm. And they kind of treat it different. You got guys that will, if you're on the 40-man roster, they don't necessarily pay for your living, and if you get called up, it's because they're two different unions. They treat each other different, and the organization's only paying for certain things. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to pay for it all. But it's been fun.
First day behind the camera? What are you doing?
I like it.
Little guys trying to break in.
Trying to get in.
I don't blame them.
Baseball's it's getting better though. Sports is growing. Baseball's all over the world, and now you were talking about baseball's going to Dubai. There's
Dubai. It's called Baseball United.
Is this similar to the Live Golf Tour thing
I don't
that they
think
did?
it's going to be that extravagant because they're not going. So they're not signing Aaron Judge, right? When they went Live,
they can't steal people from the MLB like Live was taking from the PGA Tour.
Correct.
Which eventually now they merge, so like Liv's like, suck it.
Yeah, but I mean, Liv put up a lot of money for it. So this league, it's a 4-team league and I don't even know all the rules. They literally just had a draft 3 days ago, whatever it was. I
should put my name in there.
Yeah, Homer
Dude,
power.
DH, 2 homers.
Right? So I saw the first guy they signed was like an actor out of Dubai or India or something like that as like a public scene is what I thought.
The first guy drafted wasn't even a baseball player?
I don't think he was a baseball player.
Publicity.
I don't know the name. I saw that he
Marketing.
was an actor in India or Dubai, somewhere. And then Stephen Moya was one of my teammates this year in independent ball. Played in the big leagues, played 3-4 years in Japan, 2nd pick overall. Didi Gregorius was drafted 3rd. I played with him this year in Tacoma.
He was stud big leaguer.
Stud.
Played for the Yankees? Stud.
Yankees, Phillies. He could still... Bro, one of the cooler
Where was he
days,
at this year?
He was in Tacoma in AAA with me.
Oh,
so
really?
He started in Mexico, and then he came to AAA and was in Tacoma, had an out September 1, took his out, and he's actually doing some cool stuff in Carousel. He just built a stadium, like a Little League, I don't want to say Little League complex, but like a baseball field, and doing some stuff for the youth out there in Carousel. He said it's like minute walk from his mom's house. So just small stuff that this guy's doing. But I guess he just got drafted 3rd. Bartolo Colon got drafted.
Big
Robinson
sexy.
Cano got drafted. Yeah, like they got some dudes like ex-big leaguers. And they got some legit backing, like baseball player backing.
Well, yeah, there's some money over there.
And so I don't know what they're paying guys. I try to put my name in the pot. Just I'll go to Dubai and play.
Yeah.
But it was weird. I was with an affiliated team through through this year. But I've heard it's going to be a winter ball league. But like one of my buddies is from Venezuela, Hernan Perez, who's got 8 or 9 years in the big leagues.
Yeah, I played with him at TJ. 2021.
So he's been in back and forth.
No, 22.
22.
Yeah.
And so he was in Mexico this year.
Okay.
And so I don't know. That's why he got drafted into that league.
Because he wasn't affiliate, so you couldn't be drafted into Dubai if you were with affiliate.
There wasn't any affiliated names getting drafted, so that's the only reason why I say that.
I would assume no.
But if I put my name in because I know one of the guys, like a small market guy, is Matt Barnes, with one of the teams, and I was like, bro, what's up? I'll play. If it's in the winter, I'll go to Dubai and play and bring the family out. That'd be cool.
Have they talked or showed anything like the stadiums, what they're gonna do, rules?
That's what
is it?
And the teams aren't all in Dubai, but I think all the games are in Dubai. Like one of the teams is based out of India. Another team is
called cricket.
Yeah. So, but like Robbie Ross was one of the big draftees, and I mean he's been playing a little bit of indie ball, but he was on the World Series team in 2018 with the Red Sox. So I don't necessarily know all the ins and outs about it, but they're starting baseball out there. I'm kind of curious to see how it's all going to be. It's called Baseball United.
See, this is when we need Izzy back there behind his little studio to look up stuff, and then we'll have our TV kind of like the Joe Rogan, and then he'll be able to put the information and we can read it. Well, I don't know if I can read it. I don't read so well, but we can read it and just get the people like straight information.
All right, I'm working on it.
Yeah,
we're getting there. But yeah.
Yeah, just move that 49ers Super Bowl jersey down there. I'm gonna crank that out one day and wear it for the podcast. Whenever we have
that ain't coming out.
Whenever we have a big name on. All right, let's wrap this up. We like to wrap this up with a little fun. So this is how it's gonna go. I'm gonna ask you 10 questions. You have 1 minute on the clock. Izzy, you got the timer? 1 minute on the clock. Easy questions to answer, but Wiggins judges you 0 through 10 based on how quick you answer and the answer, and basically if he liked it or not. So we first started this with Dr. B. Dr. B, outstanding. He's a nerd. He's very, very smart, right?
So he got to this part of the podcast.
He got 8.4 for Dr. B, outstanding score, and then we had Greg Pinelli last week.
Trash.
He overscored him. What'd you give him, a 5 something? What did he give him? 6 something. I was like, dude, that was like a 3. Greg's probably gonna listen to this. He's already upset because he saw Dr. B's and then thinks that his was better, and it wasn't. It was trash.
All right.
So very easy. 1 minute on the clock. You ready? 2, 1. Other than baseball, what is your favorite sport?
Golf.
If you could only eat one thing all day, every day, what would it be? Most famous contact in your phone?
Mookie Betts.
If you were a potato, how would you like to be cooked?
Baked potato.
3 things you're bringing with you on a deserted island?
Yeah. Some swim trunks, matches, and a knife.
Sports team you hate the most?
Sports teams I hate the most? I'd have to say the Yankees.
Favorite non-sports movie?
Walking Tall.
Dinner with any sports star, dead or alive. Who is it with, and what are you eating?
Randy Johnson, going out for a steak, talking pitching.
If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
I'd want to fly.
Who's bigger in their era, Taylor Swift or Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Suck it, Wiggins.
Ooh.
That's it. 10 questions.
That was solid.
What was the time? What was the time? On the dot. On the
solid.
dot. So if you go
solid.
over, every second you go over, it gets 1 decimal point
1 down.
taken off. So you're even. So your score stays the same.
That's good.
Greg went like 12 over, so I think he's at like a 0.1 right now. All right, Wiggins, what do you think? 0 through 10.
I'm calculating in my head right now. All right. You got points with the steak.
Need it.
Randy Johnson was a good poll.
That's a good one.
Good
Good
pull, but
pull.
it took him
Mariners
like
fan,
4
man.
seconds
It
to
did.
answer.
It did.
So,
It did.
yeah.
But he still made it on the
Any,
minute. So he's
any
fine.
athlete though, you got so many sports.
Yeah,
and
but that's
so
a good
many-
pull though. That's a good pull.
That's my guy.
Well, yeah, dude. He was my favorite pitcher growing up too.
I grew up a Mariners fan, man. I had to.
That Mariners team when it was like
Back in the
A-Rod
day,
and like
95, 96,
with
97.
Ken Griffey Jr. baseball N64.
So playing for the
Dad
Mariners
and son.
this year was like one of the cooler things. And I came back with all sorts of Mariners shit. My wife's like, how happy would 12-year-old Marcus be? I said 35-year-old Marcus is fired up. Like, I got so much stuff. It's kind of crazy.
Pretty good. I mean, it's right up there with Dr. B.
I like it.
All right,
Solid.
we need a score.
I'm gonna
You're the
go-
professional here.
I'm going to go a little bit better. I'm going to go 8.5 than Dr. B.
I like it.
8.5.
Yep.
That's the leader
Yep.
in the clubhouse so far.
I'm gonna
That's
go
the leader of the
8.5.
season.
Steak got you going.
Steak got me going.
They got him going. Baked
I
potato.
liked Randy. And Dr. B threw us in there. You would have dinner with us.
Yeah. It's
That
a little,
was yeah.
little butt kissing. You know what I mean?
No.
But yeah, man.
Very
8.5.
nice. Very nice. 8.5. Marcus Walden, 17 years professional baseball. More wisdom than the average 35-year-old guy that came pretty much straight out of high school. I would say.
1 year at JUCO.
1 year at JUCO, but that
wasn't
don't
there
count.
much. I was
That
there
don't count.
to play a little ball.
I would say one of the
I was
most
young.
most wisdom out of a baseball mind. If you are a young kid, not a young kid. I'm not going to say a kid. College and above.
Yeah.
You
with the older athletes,
can
doing
learn
some
something from
pitching, some mental
this
side of the
guy.
game. It's a little different.
It is. Appreciate you.
I appreciate
You're
you guys
the man.
having you guys.
Make sure to follow us. Instagram, TikTok. We post some stuff on TikTok. It's not that good. But be sure that if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening, if you like it, make sure to give us a rating 5 stars or above. You could probably only give 5 stars, so give at least 5 stars. And tell your friends about it because that's how this grows. That's how we give you guys better content, better guests, all that stuff. So we appreciate you listening. Until next time, we're out.
Peace.